Greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. Again, one of those just speaking from my heart up and close videos. I just came home and I sat down in my couch and I just want to share with you what happened today. I had a doctor's appointment. I made a video before I left. Please, if you haven't seen that yet, go find it where I'm giving the latest news update about everything happening here. So I had a doctor's appointment. He is the most kind and nice gentleman from America. We have known each other for several years now. He's always so nice and polite. And Jane, how are you doing? How is your family in Denmark? He was so excited on my behalf when my mom came and visited me earlier this year. So as I'm getting emotional. So, and I'm up front. I'm going to apologize for my language. So we are in the midst of this horrendous war where an ISIS terrorist regime entered Israel. And they committed the most atrocities not seen since the Second World War. This is the darkest hour for the Jewish nation, and that's what the Prime Minister said. So I'm sitting down in front of this doctor and I can't say anything. He can't say anything. So I'm saying, what's there to say? And he looked at me and he says, not really much. And then I said, no, this is hell. This is bloody hell that we are in right now. And I said, how are you? How are your family? So he says, we have 5 children, and 2 of my daughters who is married with children, their husband has both been drafted. One is a soldier now deployed at the Gaza Strip, and another one has been sent to the northern border where things are so tense with Hezbollah. So both of these girls with their children had actually came home to mom and dad, so they were now in his house. And then he says one of his sons has also been drafted, and then another son was waiting to be drafted, and then one of his son-in-law had lived in the communities near to the Gaza border. He moved away several years ago, but he had been to 5 funerals last week from the onslaught, from the massacre of the ISIS terrorists who just murdered the Jewish people, the Israelis, wherever they found them. So this is just one family where both son-in-laws have been drafted. One son has been drafted. Another son most likely will be drafted. One has been to the funeral of 5 of his friends and his neighbors in 1 week. So you can't imagine the horror, what happened to the Jewish people. These terrorists not only mutilated, decapitated, raped, cut babies out of the stomach of a pregnant woman while she was still alive. They filmed it. It's on video because they documented everything they did. They threw explosive devices into people's house. All their houses are burned, completely destroyed. It's going to take years and years to rebuild these communities. It's going to take hundreds of millions of dollars to rebuild these communities. People has nowhere to go. They are right now. They are sitting in hotels all over Israel, and they need to find where we're going to go. So it's just unbelievable. And then I went past one of the big shops, and there's this huge Israeli flag just flying in the winds. On the facade of this shop, just so beautiful. And when I walked into one of the elevators in my building, the part of my building where I live, there was an Israeli flag also say, "United we will win." And it's deeply, deeply moving. It's deeply touching. There is not one family in this country who is not affected. There's not one family who hasn't lost someone or knows someone who has lost someone, or someone who has been kidnapped, someone who has been murdered, and everybody's being drafted. You want to go into your favorite barbershop Well, sorry, he's been drafted. You want to go to your favorite bakery? Sorry, he's been drafted. So this is the darkest hour in the Jewish nation since the Second World War. The trauma after all of these atrocities, and we haven't even started the war, but Israel is getting ready to the big operation inside the Gaza Strip. They have to cut the head of the snake. Hezbollah, the border in the north, is very, very tense. They are firing at us all the time. It's just the beginning phase before things are really gonna get. So we really need your prayers. Israel has a massive, massive underground hospital. I know there is at least one. I don't know if there's more, but at least that one is being being prepared now to take in casualties when Israel is going to be at war, so they can treat people in an underground hospital. They are also putting up a field hospital on the northern border going into Lebanon. So things are high alert while they are still finding bodies. A young boy who was hiding in the attic, and the mother was down below, and they just set the house on fire. The atrocities, you can't imagine. Another one told the testimony when they went from house to house. They came in and there was a family, mom and dad, boy and a girl around 6-7 years old. They were sitting having breakfast. This happened early Saturday morning, Shabbat morning. And as these rescue workers come in, the parents are on one side, the two children on the other side, all of them with their hands tied behind their backs, and they were tortured. Fingers were cut off, the eye was cut out of one. The horror. And he said you could see how the terrorists had just, while some was torturing the children and the parents, watching each other being tortured, some of these terrorists was just sitting, eating the breakfast that this Jewish family had made. It's just, yeah. So anyway, then I went into a store. I needed to buy a new selfie stick. The one I had is this really short, ugly yellow one. So I spoke to the guy in the store. I told him who I was, and if you're watching me now, he was following Jerusalem. Jane, thank you for being nice. I'm actually using it right now. And we were talking about this whole situation, and he said, you know, some of the civilians in Gaza, they are part of this. They breached the fence. There's a video coming out of a young girl who is sitting screaming on a motorcycle. The guys on the motorcycle, they are civilians. They are in plain clothes. When some of the hostages came into the Gaza Strip, being paraded around the streets, who is beating on them and cursing them? The civilians in Gaza. I reported about that in my earlier video today, where I say the world needs to wake up. Joe Biden said that Hamas doesn't represent the Palestinian people. Well, he does. A large part of it. The Israeli Defense Forces, the Special Forces, were arresting more than 80 terrorist suspect overnight. 63 of them was affiliated with Hamas. I've been reporting about this for years and years and years. They are everywhere. Hamas in East Jerusalem, they are all over Judea and Samaria. And the civilian population, they support them. They are out in the street. They are supporting the massacre on the Jewish people. Give me a break. It's just the mainstream media has refused to recognize all of this. Is there innocent civilian in Gaza? Yes. Is there a lot of civilians in Gaza who support the atrocities committed towards the Jewish people? Absolutely. And we see them in the streets out celebrating. And by the way, you see them in the streets in your country now, where they are out screaming about free Palestine and murder to the Jews and gas the Jewish people. We know that here in Israel. We have been living with that for years and years and years and years. And yet many Western leaders are just hiding their head in the sand. We need to protect the innocent civilians of the Palestinians. It's unbelievable. And while that is going on, Israel continues to bury their dead ones, their loved ones. They are still pulling out the burned bodies that these despicable ISIS terrorists burned alive. So again, please share out this video. If you only follow me on Facebook, you are missing out. You are missing out. You are not allowed to see what I do. I cannot urge you enough to follow my Telegram channel. I'm also active on Instagram, on YouTube as Jerusalem Jane, but that's mostly my video updates. On Telegram, I'm leaving voice messages. I'm leaving many short posts that only goes on Telegram. So yeah, I just wanted to give this update because as I was with my doctor and he's saying, well, my son-in-laws are drafted, my son is drafted, my other son most likely will be drafted. It's every family down here, every family. So for such a time as this, we stand united with Israel. Bye.